Dubai claims it is building the world's smart streets, where driverless taxis will replace 1 in 4 journeys by 2030. Officials promise safer roads, fewer emissions, and a new era of mobility. Yet as Baidu gears up for 1,000 autonomous vehicles and pilot launches draw near, there is no public record of local safety data, nor any plan for the livelihoods of thousands of human drivers at stake. Will this ambitious rollout deliver on its tech dreams, or are we racing ahead without the evidence that matters most? Dubai's transport ambition is spelled out in black and white. In the official Roads and Transport Authority, known as RTA, strategy, the city sets a clear target. By 2030, 1 in every 4 trips across Dubai should be completed using autonomous vehicles. The figure, 25%, appears in public RTA documents and in speeches from Director General Mader Al-Tayer. For Al-Tayer and his team, this is more than a policy goal. It is a declaration that Dubai intends to lead the world in smart mobility. He describes the city as a living laboratory where real-world challenges are addressed not with caution, but with speed and scale. At press conferences and global summits, Al-Tayer outlines a future of seamless driverless journeys. He points to the official Memorandum of Understanding with Baidu Apollo Go, signed just 10 months after initial talks at the World Government Summit. The RTA roadmap details plans for more than 1,000 autonomous taxis on Dubai's roads within a few years, with the first vehicles already operating on selected routes. Behind the scenes, a new 2,000 square meter operations center at Dubai Science Park is dedicated to monitoring, maintenance, and software updates, an infrastructure investment that signals long-term commitment. The strategy is built on promises of fewer accidents, lower emissions, and a boost to Dubai's global reputation. Official statements highlight Baidu's global record of 150 million kilometers driven and 10 million autonomous trips. Yet the RTA public materials offer few specifics on local performance, pilot results, or safety benchmarks. When asked for disengagement logs or incident reports, officials cite ongoing trials and have not released the underlying data. The magnitude of the policy is clear, but the evidence that it works in Dubai's unique conditions remains behind closed doors. The city's leadership has put its credibility on the line with a bold target. Now the pressure is on to prove that ambition can deliver real-world results. February 2026 brought a public milestone. Baidu Apollo. Go RT6 taxis began official operations on Dubai's streets. The launch, announced 10 months after the initial agreement at the World Government Summit, marked the first time fully autonomous vehicles were approved to operate on open roads in the city. The Roads and Transport Authority and Baidu moved quickly, establishing a 2,000 square meter operations center at Dubai Science Park. This facility, the first of its kind outside China for Baidu, now serves as the nerve center for monitoring, software updates, and fleet maintenance. The initial rollout covers 65 designated locations, with plans to expand the fleet to more than 1,000 vehicles over the next few years. Baidu's spokesperson describes the RT6 as their most advanced model, equipped with over 40 sensors, including LiDAR, radar, and high-definition cameras, feeding real-time data to onboard AI systems. The RT6 is engineered for complex urban navigation, from pedestrian-heavy intersections to Dubai's multi-lane highways. Software engineers and technicians staff the operations hub around the clock, tracking every vehicle's status and performance. Baidu's global experience, 150 million kilometers driven, and 10 million autonomous trips, provides a foundation for the Dubai project, but the company acknowledges that local conditions demand ongoing adaptation. The RT6 fleet is subject to continuous remote supervision, with safety protocols in place for unexpected situations. Pilot milestones unfolded in rapid succession. Sheikh Hamdan's demonstration ride to the World Government Summit, the first driverless trips for public officials, and the gradual opening of service to ordinary residents each marked a new phase. Each phase is designed to gather data, refine algorithms, and test the limits of autonomous systems in Dubai's unique environment. As the rollout accelerates, the city's ambitions are finally being put to the test, not in the pages of a strategy document, but on the actual roads of Dubai. Sunlight glints off the facades of Sheikh Zayed Road as an RT6 autonomous taxi glides through morning traffic. On board, a web of 38 to 40 sensors, LiDAR, high-definition cameras, and radar feeds torrents of data to the car's processors, which can handle 1,200 trillion operations per second. The vehicle's promise is built on this hardware: real-time, 360-degree awareness, and machine-speed decision-making. But the desert environment pushes these systems to their limits in ways that technical brochures rarely address. A traffic safety researcher at Khalifa University sets up a demonstration in the lab. He places a LiDAR sensor into a sandblasting chamber to simulate the fine dust that hangs in Dubai's air for much of the year. As the grains accumulate, the sensor's range drops, phantom obstacles appear, and mapping accuracy falters. He explains that even a thin layer of dust can scatter the laser beams and confuse the algorithms that steer the vehicle. In the field, an unexpected sandstorm could mean the difference between safe navigation and a sudden halt. Heat is another silent adversary. When summer temperatures soar above 50 degrees Celsius, camera lenses and LiDAR units face thermal drift. Electronics built for temperate climates may struggle to maintain calibration, and plastic housings can warp under relentless sun. The researcher points to global studies showing that sensor accuracy can drop by up to 30% in extreme heat, with glare from glass towers further distorting the view. Dubai's roads, lined with reflective surfaces and shadowy underpasses, create a patchwork of conditions that challenge even the most advanced perception systems. Despite these risks, no Dubai-specific test logs or maintenance records have been made public. The RT6's sensor suite is capable on paper, but the absence of transparency and performance data leaves a gap in understanding how often recalibration is needed or how the system responds when its vision is partially blinded. Without local evidence, it is impossible to know how the fleet performs during the city's notorious sandstorms or midday heat waves. The hardware is impressive, but its real-world reliability in Dubai's harsh climate remains an open question. Inside the Dubai Science Park Command Center, rows of screens track every RT6 taxi in real time. But behind the smooth dashboards and animated route maps, the entire autonomous fleet relies on a digital backbone, Dubai's 5G network. The promise of instant, uninterrupted data flow is essential. Each vehicle streams gigabytes per hour, coordinating with traffic signals, updating high-definition maps, and sending diagnostics to engineers. For a city aiming to scale from a few dozen to over 1,000 autonomous taxis, the margin for error in connectivity is razor thin. A senior network engineer from Etisalat describes the technical demands. The RT6's navigation depends on millisecond-level latency. Any lag between the car and the control center can mean missed turns or delayed emergency stops. 5G coverage maps for Jumeirah and Suqaim show near total outdoor signal, but even a single dead zone could disrupt vehicle operations. Edge computing hubs installed at telecom towers process data locally to avoid bottlenecks. Yet the engineer points out that the city's dense glass towers and underground car parks create pockets where signal strength drops or reflections scramble communications. Cybersecurity is another layer of complexity. Every RT6 is a rolling endpoint exposed to potential hacking attempts or data breaches. Penetration tests required by Dubai's cyber authorities simulate attacks on vehicle-to-everything links. The engineer reveals that while Baidu's encryption protocols passed initial audits, no comprehensive public report on penetration testing has been released. The risk is not theoretical. Global incidents have shown that even a brief network disruption can disable key safety features or leave vehicles stranded. Dubai's telecom teams run continuous drills, but the absence of transparent results leaves open questions about real-world resilience. Latency benchmarks from recent pilot zones average 8 to 12 milliseconds, well within the safe operating range for autonomous vehicles. However, data from nighttime operations and during sandstorms is still sparse. Redundant fiber links and battery backups at edge nodes are in place, but the system's ability to handle large-scale outages has not been stress-tested in public trials. The engineer emphasizes that as the fleet grows, so does the attack surface. Without published metrics on network incidents or cyber breaches, the public is left to trust official assurances. The technical foundation is strong on paper, but the true test will come as hundreds of autonomous taxis navigate Dubai's streets, each relying on a network that must never blink. A traffic safety analyst sits at a desk covered in regulatory filings and international case reports. He points to a blank column in his spreadsheet. Dubai's autonomous taxi program has yet to publish a single disengagement log or incident report. Unlike California, where the Department of Motor Vehicles requires every operator to submit detailed public data on miles driven, system failures, and emergency interventions, Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority keeps these metrics behind closed doors. In California, anyone can download annual spreadsheets showing how often self-driving cars hand control back to a human or experience a safety-critical event. These numbers are not just technical trivia, they are the foundation for public oversight and trust. In Dubai, the picture is different. There is no public dashboard tracking how many kilometers the RT6 fleet has driven on city streets, how many times the system has disengaged, or whether any near misses have occurred. Requests for incident logs are met with references to ongoing trials and reassurances about global safety records, but no raw data. The analyst stresses that transparency is not a luxury. It is a baseline expectation for any technology that claims to make roads safer. Without hard numbers, independent experts cannot assess whether the autonomous taxis are delivering on their promise or simply shifting risks out of view. The call for evidence is growing louder. Residents, researchers, and advocates are urging the RTA to adopt international best practices by releasing detailed safety metrics. Public accountability depends on it. As Dubai's autonomous fleet expands, the demand for openness will only intensify. Share your views below. Should Dubai publish its safety data? What would it take for you to trust a driverless taxi on your street? Waymo's autonomous taxi service in Phoenix, Arizona, offers one of the world's most closely watched case studies. Since 2018, Waymo has operated a public robotaxi fleet within carefully geofenced zones, publishing annual safety reports that detail miles driven, disengagements, and incidents. In 2025, Waymo reported over 7 million autonomous miles in Phoenix, with a disengagement rate of roughly 1 per 40,000 miles. The company's approach relies on high-definition mapping and strict operational boundaries, limiting service to areas where the system's behavior can be closely monitored and refined. Waymo's transparency, enforced by California's Department of Motor Vehicles, has become a benchmark for public accountability in the autonomous vehicle sector. Singapore's Land Transport Authority has taken a different route, favoring incremental, tightly regulated pilots. The city-state's Setran Test Center launched its first autonomous vehicle trials in 2017, gradually expanding to mixed traffic environments under close government supervision. Each phase requires operators to submit detailed safety and incident data, which are then reviewed by independent panels before further expansion is approved. Singapore's pilots emphasize layered oversight, mandatory public reporting, and a clear chain of liability for any incidents. The incremental rollout and transparency requirements have helped build public trust, even as the technology continues to evolve. Both examples stand in contrast to Dubai's current approach. In Phoenix and Singapore, public data and phased expansion are central to regulatory strategy. Geofencing, mandatory reporting, and transparency norms serve as guardrails, ensuring that ambition does not outpace evidence. For Dubai, these international precedents offer more than technical lessons. They highlight the value of openness and public oversight as essential ingredients for safe, credible deployment. At the heart of Dubai's taxi system are thousands of men whose names rarely appear in official reports. Most are migrant workers, drawn from South Asia and Africa, who spend years behind the wheel to support families back home. Yet as the city accelerates toward a driverless future, the human cost of automation remains largely invisible. Official statements from the Roads and Transport Authority make no mention of how many drivers might be affected or what support, if any, will be offered. There are no public figures on the number of licensed taxi drivers in Dubai, nor demographic details about their backgrounds, wages, or living conditions. At a taxi rank near Al Righa, a veteran driver from Kerala describes the uncertainty. He has worked 12-hour shifts for more than a decade, sending most of his pay to his wife and children in India. With rumors swirling about autonomous taxis, he worries about job security, and he says no one from the company has explained what comes next. Nearby, a younger ride-hail driver from Ghana checks his phone for new bookings. He took out loans to buy a car, hoping for steady income, but fears that automation could leave him with debt and no fallback. A local labor economist sketches out a scenario. If Dubai reaches its goal of 25% autonomous trips by 2030, thousands of driving jobs could disappear. Without retraining programs or transition plans, the risk is not just unemployment, it is the unraveling of a fragile social safety net built on remittances and long hours. The absence of driver statistics and official transition plans leaves a gap in the public conversation, even as the technology advances. For the people behind the wheel, the future is uncertain and the stakes are deeply personal. A UAE transport lawyer lays out the current legal reality. There is no dedicated liability framework for autonomous vehicles operating on Dubai's roads. Traditional traffic laws still hold vehicle operators responsible for accidents. But when a driverless taxi is involved, the question of fault becomes far more complex. With no statutes addressing manufacturer or software accountability, the burden for any incident, whether a software glitch, sensor failure, or unpredictable road hazard, falls on the fleet operator, most often the company behind the autonomous service. Insurers cover basic third-party liability, but there are no autonomous vehicle-specific policies or no fault schemes required by law. This legal gap leaves passengers, pedestrians, and even other drivers without clear answers should something go wrong. Legal experts and policy advocates are now calling for explicit rules to govern liability, insurance, and accident investigation in the age of artificial intelligence-driven transport. Their recommendations are direct. Publish detailed safety and incident data for all autonomous operations. Draft and enact laws that clarify liability for crashes involving self-driving vehicles. Require comprehensive insurance coverage tailored to autonomous vehicle risks. Independent audits of safety systems and cybersecurity protocols should be mandatory before any large-scale expansion. Without these measures, Dubai's promise of a safer, smarter transport future rests on a foundation of legal uncertainty. Dubai's roads are becoming a global testbed for autonomous mobility, yet the city's own transport authority confirms there is still no transparent public framework for safety, liability, or job transition. As these vehicles multiply, hard questions outpace easy answers. What happens here won't stay here. The future of work, trust, and urban life is being written now, one driverless ride at a time. Share your thoughts below.